welcome everybody. I want to welcome all of our family members that are in the back. So glad that you could join us this morning. I know it's a busy time of the year, and we are very, very grateful that you took time out of your schedules to be here. And most importantly, I want to thank all of the gentlemen that are sitting here at the front of our gymnasium. And some of them have driven great distances to be here. Some have come into the area last night and have stayed with family so that they could be here with all of you today. And that is absolutely incredible. And we are very grateful. So thank you all for coming here today. We're going to start with the national anthem. So I would like everyone to stand, and Mr. Claypool's going to play the national anthem. You don't have to sing, but you're welcome to if you would like.
We request that you please remove your hats and place your right hand over your heart as we salute our flag and country with the performance of our national anthem by the Texas Children's Choir.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And we have a special video that Mr. Claypool has pulled out, and we're going to show that now. So we'll just stay seated and watch this next video.
The United States Army.
war, Afghanistan, operations Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom, and the war on terror, as well as continually providing support aid to those in need on all sides of disaster response. Our American servicemen and women have made us all swell with pride. Therefore, we pay honor to all the brave men and women who have today and continue to make this country the greatest nation on earth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Claypool. And now we have a very special part of our Veterans Day Assembly, something we've never done before. And we always try each year to add an extra twist or do something extra special. And what's amazing to me, every year we do the Veterans Assembly, there are things that we plan that are different and special, that we have an idea. Typically it's Mrs. Krudner who has the wonderful idea, she always does, and we pull it together. But what is even more awesome than that is every single year at our Veterans Day Assembly, there are other special, very special things that happen that we don't plan. And that's what makes this particular assembly special for me, special for our staff, and special for our students. So the part that we did plan is for a group of students to come up and read essays. What we did this year, several weeks ago, is we put out a request to our, I believe it was our 4th and 5th grade students, to write an essay about what it would mean to them to be able to carry the flag at our Hillendale Veterans Day Assembly. So we had several students that wrote essays, and I'm going to ask them to come forward. If you would please come up now. Mrs. Krudner will greet you over here, and I'm going to hand off the mic, something that's hard for me to do. I'm going to hand off the mic, and they're going to read their essays. We're going to start with Eric Mayer in 5th grade.
My name is Eric Meyer. I'm in Mrs. Chiquina's 5th grade classroom, and this is my essay. What it means to me to hold the American flag on Veterans Day is everything I want right now. Carry that American flag out in honor of all the military who are currently serving, who have lost their lives, and the ones who are standing right in front of you. Veterans Day is a special day for me because it shows how much we love and respect those around us and at war or home. If I carry that American flag out in front of all those veterans who serve, they will know how much we respect that they served our country. Veterans Day is the anniversary of the signing of the agreement which ended World War I in 1918. Veterans are thanked for their services to the United States on Veterans Day. The reason I'm writing this essay is to show how much I honor the people who are willing to give their lives to serve and protect our country. Veterans Day shows that we appreciate the people that serve. To carry that American flag out in front of all those veterans would amaze me, and all while this is my last chance to show how much I respect these veterans and loved ones. These people are important to me because they are who I would like to model my life after.
little too big. We need to get a smaller podium.
My name is Izzy Craxel, and this is what it means to me to carry the American flag on Veterans Day. If I were to hold the American flag, I would be honored. The people in our military really inspire me. Veterans Day means a lot to me because our soldiers leave their families to protect America. They risk their lives helping us and show bravery when doing this. I am willing to help serve when I get older. My grandfather is a brave man who served our country. In other countries, people do not receive some of the great freedoms we have. The freedoms we have are earned by veterans with their bravery. Whenever I hear the national anthem, I wish I was there to help them fight for our country. I'm proud I'm an American because we have brave men and women serving our country. I'm glad Mr. D asked us to write this essay. It is special that we are honoring our family members that are veterans. I hope that other schools are doing the same. It would be meaningful to carry the American flag at Hillendale Elementary on Veterans Day.
I'm Sarah Lawrence, and I'm in 5th grade and I'm in Mr. Riley's class. I would love to have the privilege to carry the American flag. I would feel thankful, wonderful, and proud. I am thankful that so many people work to serve our country to help others. I would feel very proud when carrying the American flag because I would be thinking about how lucky I am to live in the USA and how much freedom I have. Next, I would feel wonderful because my poppy and my pop used to be in the United States Army, and I'm thankful for their service. This is how I would feel if I had the amazing privilege to carry the American flag at my school. I think Veterans Day at Hillendale is very special.
I'm Julia Frank, and I'm with my youth class. If I could carry the American flag on Veterans Day, it would mean a lot to me and my family because my great-uncle died for our country's freedom during the Vietnam War. I think it is a special holiday because it is time to think about the men and women that fought for our freedom in our country. The American flag means a lot to me because my naughty brother, my great-uncle, was in the Vietnam War in 1969. If you go to Washington, D.C., you will see his name, Michael de Pasco Antonio, on the wall of names of people that fought and died in that war. My nanny tells my cousins and me stories about her childhood, and she includes stories of her brother and sister and how they moved to America from Italy when they were little children. I think it is important to celebrate Veterans Day because it is a day when we can think about all the men and women that fought or even died in wars so the people in our country could have freedom. I think the American flag represents our freedom. That is why I think Veterans Day is so important.
I'm Alina Zhang, and I'm in Miss Levels. What it means to me to carry the American flag on Veterans Day. The act of carrying the American flag shows how proud we are in our country. This is a meaningful task because you get to show how much you appreciate the people who fought for America. The American flag symbolizes the 50 states. Each star is for each state showing that we are united. The red and white stripes represent the 13 colonies who opposed the British and established independence. The American flag is a staple to America's history. The American flag shows how much we love America. The flag represents how we will always shine strong and be united. Carrying the flag is an honor and a privilege. It is also connected to the national anthem and is significant to veterans. It is important to show the veterans that we appreciate the fact that they risk their own lives to defend what we believe and what we stand for. The veterans are also part of the reason that America is powerful today. The flag displays how we became independent, how we appreciate the veterans, and how we love our country. If you look back at all the facts about the American flag, you'll realize, wow, carrying the American flag on Veterans Day is an honor, and the flag is really important to America and its history. That's what it means to me to carry the American flag on Veterans Day.
I'm in 5th grade and I'm in Miss Webble's class. To me, carrying the American flag is an honor. It shows how veterans sacrifice their lives for our freedom. I have great respect for veterans and what they do for us in our country. Veterans are all special in one way. They give us freedom that is so hard to get, but they work so hard to get it for us. When veterans fall, they get right back up. That is why I think holding the American flag is such an honorable thing to do.
Webble's class. To carry the American flag to me would mean that I show that I care very much about America, and especially on Veterans Day. To hold the flag means that that opportunity only comes once for me, but I'll make the best of it. To carry the flag means I became part of the United States in an honor. To carry that would mean that honor, such as that, as big as that, would mean I would hold that as long as possible. And it will be an honor for me for life. It would be a great experience for me, and I will show that honor. This is what it means to me to carry the American flag.
My name is Natalie Brown, and I'm in Miss Callie's class. The first reason it would be an honor to carry the flag on Veterans Day is I think it is amazing that brave, loyal people gave their lives to protect us and our great country. The second reason is I have many special veterans in my family. One veteran is my grandfather, Poppy, who is very loyal and a patriotic leader. He is very proud to be an American. Another special veteran is Poppy's dad, who is called Papa. I really wish I could have met Papa, because I hear so many stories about what a great man he was. He left for World War II when my Poppy was a baby, and did not return until he was 4. Can you imagine that? My great Aunt Debbie found out we had 25 other family veterans who served in the Revolutionary and Civil War. I'm so glad she did this research, because otherwise I would have never known about our patriotic history. On my grandmother's side, there were 8 veterans. I never got to meet any of them either. I sure wish I did get to meet all of them, because I would like to hear their stories and thank them for protecting our country. My whole family is so grateful to live in the U.S. When I travel to other countries, I often get homesick and think about what a great country we live in. I admire that so many people in our country are willing to risk their lives to protect our country. That's why it would be an honor to carry the flag on Veterans Day.
We, the people, have grown so fast from the wheel to icons. Human evolution is everywhere. Today, I live in a great country. This country will share my destiny and my legacy. I have been here since my first steps. America is special in many ways. One very special thing is our flag. Our flag is the symbol of our country, the symbol of hope, light and dark green. It shows we have freedom, and our flag represents man, ruled to the very end. When I heard the opportunity to hold the thing I highly respect, I was very happy. Holding the American flag will show that dreams can be much more than a simple thought. They can come true. People dream, people invent, people move forward, and best of all, people believe. The American flag shows that we have succeeded and we move forward. Thank you.
Carrying the American flag on Veterans Day means so much respect, honor, and a great privilege to represent the Hillendale community. It brings a lot of emotions such as happiness, love, and strength. The American flag symbolizes honor to all heroes who stood and defended our country. It symbolizes freedom to citizens and courage to all men and women to stay strong. It represents united. It's a joy and honor to me to carry the American flag on Veterans Day. The strength and the courage these people have to protect our country and keep us safe makes them real heroes. Carrying the American flag high and proud shows respect and honor. Carrying the flag on this special day makes me feel like a very special student because I represent my school, my friends, and my teachers. I represent the Hillendale community. We recognize our veterans. Being part of the Veterans Day ceremony and carrying the American flag gives me an opportunity to show my appreciation, to honor the brave men and women who have served our country and risked their lives to protect our freedom. Thank you, heroes.
Hi, my name is and I am in Mr. Ricky's fifth grade class. Holding the American flag means to me that we are showing our country pride and respect. It also means that we are honoring the people who have fought for us in wars and fights. It also risked their lives to protect our lives. In conclusion, holding the American flag means to me that we are showing pride and respect to our country and those who serve us. The flag represents the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform who believe that our freedom surpasses everything. I look at the American flag and I believe it represents the freedoms we have. I also have a great sense of pride for our country. I really respect the people who fought for our rights that we now have. I look at the American flag and I think it means we should keep working to allow everyone to be free and equal. I look at the American flag and I think about all the times it has flown over battlefields of our history. So many soldiers have fought bravely for our country. When I look at the American flag, I think it means all these things, not just one. So when I think about carrying the American flag, it is only an honor. When you look at the American flag, you should feel blessed, but also pray for the ones fighting for our country, and for the ones who already fought for our country. When you see the American flag, you should think of how many different Americans pioneered the spirit of freedom and liberty. I hope this changes the way you feel about the American flag. I also hope that when you count your sheep at the time you count, the American flag is one of your blessings. Thank you for your time.
I'm Jacob Cassidy in Mrs. Chiquino's 5th grade class, and this is what it means to me to carry the American flag. The American flag is a symbol of liberty, pride, and the greatness of our country. To me, it means of fallen soldiers, how proud I am for the country, and the unity of all the 50 stars and states. It would be an honor for me to be chosen in my last year at Hillendale to carry the flag this Veterans Day. I will hold the flag with the thoughts of my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my uncle, and all of the other veterans that have given their time and heart into protecting this great country. I will also hold it aware of how hard the veterans have worked to be a part of the elite and brave few that can call themselves United States veterans. The first reason I would be proud to hold the American flag is because I feel that veterans seeing kids holding the American flag of the country that they've worked so hard to protect would make them feel proud of today's youth. I feel this because during the age of iPhones, video games, and computers, veterans would feel good if kids showed their support to their country as soldiers. This reason is important to me because my parents are telling me to put down the electronics and do something productive. Well, now I'm writing an essay about what holding the American flag means to me. And let me tell you, it means a lot. Now that I'm done telling you now I'm done voicing my first reason, I'll tell you what remembering the fallen soldiers mean to me. America is a really great nation, won by the people and for the people. But unfortunately,
The wars of this world in America there are wars in this world and America has had its share of fallen soldiers. It's important to me that Americans protect soldiers. This links with holding the American flag because many veterans have seen their comrades perish in battle. Knowing that I support them would and will help them understand that I feel for them. I will never know the scars of war without facing it. Even the fallen warriors mean that they will never come back. I still feel it is a source of American pride. I feel this because people sacrificing their lives for the good of the country really shows me that they love this country and the people in it. Now that you've learned about the second reason, you will be able to read more about my third reason, pride. Pride is definitely a motivating factor in my life. This is because in my family there's always something you could get better at. If I could go to middle school and have a teacher ask, what was your favorite elementary school memory? And me to say, getting to lead out a grade during Veterans Day would be awesome. My pride would be maximized if I hold the American flag on Veterans Day. This is because I love this nation. If I could say to my brothers and sisters, hey, I just let out a grade to say the Pledge of Allegiance, ain't it felt great? As a citizen of this country, I would have a blast and would be very proud of myself. Since I've concluded my last opinion, I'll wrap up this essay. Being a citizen of the U.S., I would be overjoyed if I got to lead out a grade out to say the Pledge of Allegiance and show veterans I care. It would be an awesome chance to show that I care. It would be fun and most of all patriotic. Please pick me to show you I could lead a grade of students to show that I care about veterans. In conclusion, I would be thrilled to carry the American flag.
So I want to thank all of the parents. I want to thank our wonderful teachers, all of our staff, for preparing these students to do what they just did. I have to tell you, when I was in 4th or 5th grade, I know that I would not have been able to stand up here in front of a crowd like this and do what you just did, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it even half as well as you all did it. We are very proud of you. You did an awesome job. How about a big round of applause? Very much, and you can make your way back to where your class is sitting. Well done, you guys. Fantastic. Okay, Hillendale and special guests, we're going to get rolled into the next part of our ceremony where we actually now get to honor veterans that are in some way connected to this wonderful Hillendale community, this Hillendale family in many ways. So the first segment of veterans that we're going to honor are those that are just not able to be here today for whatever reason. So I'm going to go through those and I'm going to read the students or staff member's name that they are connected to, and I would like that person to stand up. So when I read the veteran, I'll say their name, I'll say the branch of service that they served in. In many cases, I'll say the years that they served, and then I'll say the student's name or the staff person's name. When I say your name, students or staff, please stand so we can give you a quick round of applause, okay? And then when we're done with that part, then we're going to recognize the veterans that are able to be with us today. Okay, so first, I would like to recognize Dr. Lou Tobia, who served in the United States Army for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Kirk and Brady Carmody in 2nd grade. Kirk and Brady, please stand. And next, I would like to recognize Mr. Edward Martin in the United States Air Force for 4 years. He is the great-grandfather of Andrew and Daniel Palhunic. Andrew and Daniel. Stay standing. Because I would also like to recognize Chester Price, who served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, and he is the great-grandfather to Daniel and Andrew Palhunic. Gotta stay standing, Daniel. Not done yet. And I would like to recognize Mr. George Palhunic, who served in the United States Army for 4 years, and he is also the grandfather to Andrew and Daniel Palhunic. Stay standing, one more. And Mr. Dennis Martin, who served in the United States Army for 4 years, and he is also a grandfather to Andrew and Daniel Palhunic. Good job. Thank you. I'm going to sit down. And I would like Nicholas Ratona to stand. I have a few here I'm going to read through. I'd like to recognize Mr. Robert Donlick, United States Army. Served in the Vietnam War from 1967 to 1969, grandfather to Nick Ratona, and also his great-grandfather, Samuel Ratona, who served in the United States Army during World War II, 1941 to 1945. Thank you very much. And I'd like to recognize Michael Kane Jr., United States Marine Corps, served for 4 years, and he is the brother to our own Mrs. Maureen Fricker, right over here. Stay standing, Maureen. I would also like to recognize Mr. Michael Kane, who served in the United States Marine Corps for 7 years, and he is Mrs. Fricker's father. And someone that was supposed to be here today but couldn't make it at the last minute, I'd like to recognize Mr. Joe Haviland. He served in the United States Army, and he is the grandfather to Luke Doherty, who is one of our 4th grade students. But Luke, I got a phone call. Luke was throwing up this morning, so he's not here, fortunately. But I'm wondering if Kelly is here. Kelly's here. Kelly is one of our staff members. She is Joe's daughter, so I want to recognize Joe Haviland. Luke feels better soon. And Mr. Jay Bender, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Sabrina Bender in 5th grade. Sabrina, if you would stand. Mr. Lee Bettenhausen, United States Air Force and the United States Air Force Reserve for 9 years, and he is the father to our wonderful school nurse, Mrs. Maya Walter. And I'd like to recognize, this is incredible. This person is a former student of mine when I was a teacher at the middle school, Mr. Craig Carroll, and I remember Craig very well. Awesome basketball player when he was at the middle school, and he is in the United States Navy. He served 13 years and is currently in the Navy Reserves. Just a quick note about Craig. He served 1 tour in Kandahar, Afghanistan in 2012. He served as the sole neurologist overseeing the policies and implementation of traumatic brain injuries in that area. So Craig is not able to be with us today, but I would like his daughter to stand, Miss Kylie Carroll, if you would please stand in 3rd grade. Give your dad a big hug for me when you get home. Mr. Preston Chambers Sr., World War I Purple Heart recipient, and he is the great-grandfather to Indy Riggs in 3rd grade. Indy, if you would please stand. Mr. Martin Coates served in the United States Army for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Ryan Quinlan and Owen Quinlan in 2nd and 5th grade. If you remember, Owen was one of our raise the flag when we did the pledge today, so thank you, boys. Mr. William Connolly III, served in the United States Army for 4 years, And he is the grandfather to our triplets here at Hillendale, Becca, Katie, and Brendan Connolly, all in 3rd grade. If you would please stand. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this one. There's a few here. I would like to recognize Colonel Douglas Papadoc Cummings, General Malpin Lincoln Cummings, Frank Bam Frollo, and ROTC, you're going to have to help me, Lincoln, Nicholas, what's his last name? Bramble. Okay, Nicholas Bramble. These gentlemen served in the United States Army collectively over 50 years. They are the great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and cousin to our students here at Hillendale, Hugh Douglas Cawley in kindergarten, Mary Kate in 3rd grade, 4th grade, sorry Mary Kate, and Lincoln Jix in 5th grade. Thank you very much. And next I would like to, Julia pronounced this name so much better than I think I'm going to be able to pronounce it. This is Michael Di Pasquantonia. Did I get almost? I didn't roll that off near as well as Julia did. But he served in the United States Marine Corps for 2 years. He is the great uncle to Julia Frank, who was one of our special readers this morning. Thank you, Julia. And next I'd like to recognize Dennis Doby, who served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. He is the grandfather to Lauren and Kyle Doby in 2nd and 5th grade. And next I'd like to recognize Rod Dorsey, served in the United States Navy for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Grant Fury in kindergarten. Where is Grant? There he is. And next I'd like to recognize Raymond James Ellers I, who served in the United States Army from 1944 to 1945. He is the grandfather, or otherwise known as Pop Pop, to Nathan Ellers in 5th grade. Is Nathan here? You would stand, Nathan. Okay. Next is Edward Everett, who served in the United States Army from 1969 to 1971. He is the grandfather to Kyle O'Neill in 5th grade. Next, I'd like to recognize Robert Foz, who has served in the United States Navy for 3 years. He is the great-grandfather to Indy Riggs in 3rd grade. Indy, if you would stand today. And next, I would like to recognize Mr. Joseph Ludwig Gallagher, who served in the United States Marine Corps from 1956 to 1960. And he is the father to our special 2nd grade teacher, Mrs. Lisa Doherty. Lisa, if you would stand. You're not allowed to leave, Lisa, you just have to stand. And next, Renee G. Habert, who served in the United States Air Force, and he is the grandfather to Mac Burns in 5th grade. Thank you, Mac. Next, I'd like to recognize Richard Holland, who served in the United States Army for 2 years. He is the grandfather to Casey Mitchell in 2nd grade and Tristan Mitchell in 3rd grade. Very much. Next is James Hughes, who served in the United States Army for 3 years, and he is the grandfather to Maggie Richardson in 5th grade. Okay, and a couple here real quick. I'd like to recognize Admiral Francis L. Johnson, Admiral Francis L. Johnson, who was served in World War II, Frank Couture, who was a pilot in World War II, and Earl Bovel March, who was in the United States Navy. Many years of service with all of those gentlemen, and they are the great-grandfather, and great uncle and great grandfather to Campbell and Francis Bunch in 5th and 3rd grade. Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize Mr. George J. Krautzel Jr. And George served in the United States Marine Corps from 1971 to 1976. And he is the grandfather to Izzy Krautzel. Izzy, if you would stand, Izzy was one of our guest special readers today. Thank you, Izzy. Next, I'd like to recognize Mr. Joseph Krabunicki. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, so I apologize if I did not. Joseph served in the United States Air Force for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to our triplets, Becca, Katie, and Brendan Connolly in 3rd grade. If you would please stand again. Thank you. Next is David A. Learned Sr. He served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Kat and Maggie Feenan in 1st and 2nd grade. Next is Mr. Paul Lombardi, who served in the United States Army for 3 years, and he is the grandfather to Gianna Catone in 3rd grade. Next is Mr. Hugh Madden, who served in the United States Army for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Caroline Springman. Caroline, if you would stand. Caroline was also one of our special guest readers today. Thank you. Next, Mr. Ken Mackey, who was a captain in the United States Navy Reserves. He served in the United States Navy and also in the Navy Reserves. He was 4 years of active duty and 26 years in the Navy Reserves. He is the grandfather to Brynja Hijaldater, and I don't ever pronounce your last name correctly. I'm so sorry about that. Congratulations, Brynja. Thank you very much. Next is John James McKenna, who served in the United States Army. He is the grandfather to Marcella McKenna in 2nd grade. Marcella, if you would stand. Thank you, Marcella. And next is Richard McKnight, who served in the United States Navy. And he is the father of Matthew, Maya, and Monica McKnight. If you would please stand. Kindergarten, 2nd, and 3rd, I believe. Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Edward Marshall, who served in the Army and the Navy. Mr. Robert Gilpin, who served in the United States Army. Mr. Franklin Marshall, who served in the United States Army. All of these people are their grandfather, uncle, and great-uncle to Mark Hopkins in 2nd grade. Mark, if you would stand. Is Mark here? There he is. I love your tie, Mark. Next is Mr. Ross Molinaro, who served in the United States Army for 2 years, and also James Heinberg, who served in the United States Air Force for 4 years. They are grandfathers to Ross Molino in kindergarten. Ross, if you would stand, please. Over here, Ross is right back here. Thank you, Ross. All right, we're almost done with this part. Next is Mr. Fergus Norton, who served in the United States Army for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Patty and Lucy Eskander in 2nd and 4th grade. Patty and Lucy, if you would stand. And Lucy, if you remember, was one of our guest readers today, and also a flag bearer, I believe. Is that right? You were one? Yep. Well, all of them were. Yep. Thank you, Lucy and Patty. Next, Mr. Doug Ott, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years. Richard Gross, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years. And Nick Ott, who served in the Air Force for 2 years. These gentlemen are the cousin, grandfather, and other cousin, of Will Schreiber in 3rd grade. Thank you, Will. Will recently won at one of our family fun nights on Friday, principal for the day. So he gets to be principal for the day. I'm wondering, Will, if you'd like to do that today. Would you like to be principal for that? Today wouldn't be a good day, would it? Next is Mr. James O'Donnell, who served in the United States Air Force from 1950 to 1953, and he is the grandfather to Ellie, Luke, and Kayla O'Donnell. They would please stand, please. Luke, Kayla, and Ellie O'Donnell. Okay, thank you very much. Next is Thomas O'Donnell. You can stay standing, you guys. He served in the United States Army from 1982 to 1985, and he is the uncle to Ellie, Luke, and Kayla O'Donnell. If you would stand one more time. Thank you. Next is Mr. Edmund Petruiz, who had served in the United States Navy for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Connor Lord in 5th grade. Connor, if you would stand. And Mr. Robert Schwan, who served in the United States Navy from 1968 to 1971. And he is the grandfather to Ellie, Luke, and Kayla O'Donnell. If you would stand one more time. Thank you. Mr. Jerry Siegel, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years. He is the grandfather to Lily Barsamian in 5th grade. Lily was one of our special guest speakers today. Mr. Raymond Slingerland, who served in the United States Army from 1942 to 1945, and he is the great-grandfather to Alexandra Snyder in 3rd grade. Alexandra, Mr. Robert Matthew Smith, who served in the United States Army for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Tyler and Riley and Addison Smith in 4th grade. Addison's in 4th. Next, Mr. Paul Snyder, who served in the United States Air Force for 4 years during the Korean War, and he is the grandfather to Brandon Brogan in 3rd grade. Is Brandon, there he is. Hi, Brandon. Next, Mr. Benjamin Talbert, who is currently serving in the Army. He's in his 12th year in the United States Army. And he is the father to Maddox Talbert in 2nd grade. Maddox. Next, Colonel Raymond G. Troxler, who served in the United States Air Force for 20 years. He is the grandfather to Matthew Demnicki in 5th grade. Matthew, if you would stand. Thank you. Next, Hank Young, who served in the United States Army for 4.5 years in Vietnam. Also, Fran Young, who served in the United States Army for 32 years. They are the grandfather and grandmother of Alex Gonzalez and Olivia Gonzalez. If you would please stand, Alex and Olivia. Next, Mr. Edward Blum and Justin Cassidy. Edward served in the Navy for 4 years, Justin served in the Marine Corps and in the Army for 22 total years. They are the grandfather and uncle to Jacob and Reed Cassidy, right here. And Jacob was one of our guest readers today. Thank you very much. Could we get a big round of applause for all of the names and students that were just mentioned, our special servicemen and women that were not able to be with us today? Okay. Now, to the special guests that are sitting to my left and to my right, now it's your turn. Now we would like to recognize you, and what I'd like to do, Mrs. Krudner is right here to my left, so when I state your name, I would like the veteran, our guest, to stand, and then the student that is connected to that veteran will come forward, come straight up to Mrs. Krudner here. She will give you a special gift, and then we'd like you to walk over and hand your special guest, your grandfather, uncle, however you're related, father, however you're related, hand that special gift to them and give them a big hug. Okay? All right, are you ready? Okay, here we go. First on the list, Mr. Alex Laws, who served in the United States Army for 21 years. He is the father to Helen Laws in 2nd grade. Helen, you please come forward. Mr. Peter Borowski, who is a Navy lieutenant in the reserves, served from 1962 to 1970. He is the grandfather to Andrew and Henry Meredith. If you would please come up, boys. And you can give that to your grandfather. Mr. James Brogan, Sergeant in the United States Army, served from 1966 to 1968, and he is the grandfather to Brandon Brogan, who is in 3rd grade. James, if you would please stand. Okay, next is Preston Chambers Jr., who served in the United States Army from 1968 to 1969. He is the grandfather, served in Vietnam. He is the grandfather to Indy Riggs in 3rd grade. Indy, if you would come forward. Lee Feldstein served in the United States Navy from 1964 to 1966, and he is the grandfather to Dominic, Anthony, and Nicholas Scatolino. Boys, if you would come forward. Wait for your brothers, Anthony. Here we go. Come on up, guys. Next, Mr. Robert Fisher served in the United States Army Reserves from 1965 to 1972, and he is the grandfather to Mia Fisher in 4th grade. Mia, if you would please come forward. James Fuga, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years, and he is the grandfather to Carter DeRocco. Carter, if you would come forward, please. James Green, who served in the United States Army for 22 years, and he is the uncle to Jack Moffett in 3rd grade. Jack, if you would please come forward. Mr. Richard Hartney served in the United States Air Force for 4 years, served in Vietnam. the grandfather to Lorelei Green. Lorelei, if you would please come forward. Mr. John Hines served in the Army Reserves for 6 years, and he is the grandfather to Ben Gottesman in 4th grade. Mr. Frank Kiernan, who served in the United States Air Force for 4 years, and he is Violet Blackburn's grandfather. Violet's in 2nd grade. Violet, if you would come forward, please. Mr. James Rapp served in the United States Army for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Lauren and Kyle Doby. Lauren and Kyle, if you would come forward, please. Mr. Walter or Wayne Rubincon, who served in the United States Navy for 4 years and the Army National Guard for 10 years. And he is the father to Logan Rubincon in kindergarten. Logan, if you would come forward, please. Mr. Ronald Sheff, who served in the United States Army for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Oliver Sheff in 1st grade. Oliver, if you would come forward, please. Thank you, Oliver. Mr. David Dallas Stevens, who served in security in the Army, in the Security Agency, 3 years in Okinawa, 1960 to 1963, and he is Natalie Barong's grandfather in 4th grade. Natalie was one of our guest speakers. Mr. Charles Bud Stevens, United States Army from 1961 to 1964. And he is grandfather to Sarah Stevens in 1st grade. Sarah, if you would please come forward. Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Ed Quinlan in the United States Air Force from 1960 to 1964, and he is the grandfather to to Patrick Quinlan in 4th grade. Patrick, if you would please come forward. And Mr. Richard Haynes served in the National Guard in the 276th Army Band. Is that correct? The 200. Say Harris. I'm sorry, I had it spelled wrong. My apologies. Mr. Richard Harris, National Guard, 276th Army Band from 1963 to 1970, and he is grandfather also, Patrick Quinlan. Thank you. Mr. Anthony Nicholas Ratona served in the United States Army for 2 years, and he is the grandfather to Nicholas Ratona in 5th grade. Mr. Christopher Lord, United States Navy retired, served 28 years in the Navy, and he is Caleb Lord's father in 3rd grade. Caleb, if you would please come up. Caleb, if you would stay here just for a minute, we have Christopher John Lord Jr., Navy Petty Officer 2nd Class, active duty, and he is Caleb Lord's older brother. Next, Mr. Jack Murphy served in the United States Army from 1958 to 1960, and he is the grandfather to Matthew D'Amico in 5th grade. Matthew, if you would please come forward. Mr. Ron Rossman, United States Navy Special Warfare and United States Marine Corps from 1953 to 1958, and he is the grandfather to Nikki and Bella Rossman in 4th grade and 2nd grade. Mr. Joseph McBride, United States Navy, and he is the grandfather to Matthew, Maya, and Monica McKnight in kindergarten, 2nd and 4th grade. If you all would come on, Matthew, Monica, and Maya. Major Chaz Krudner, United States Air Force, 12 years active duty, currently serving at the United States Pentagon, and he is the oldest son of our own office manager, Mrs. Jean Krudner. Mr. Mike Mayer served in the United States Navy for 7 years, and he is Eric Mayer's father. Eric's in 5th grade, and Eric was one of our special guest readers today. And finally, I'd like to introduce Admiral Christensen. who is a very, very close family friend of the Mayer family, Mike, Eric, and Maddie, and Emily. Eric Mayer is in 5th grade. Admiral Christensen served in the United States Navy for 32 years. He and his family moved 17 times with the Admiral's assignments in the Navy. The Admiral served on multiple ships, and he was the commander, ultimately, of the USS Lake Champlain, where he was Mike Mayer, Eric's father, Mike Mayer's boss. The ship was stationed in California and was ultimately deployed to the Persian Gulf. In addition, Admiral Christensen and his wife Sam, Sam, if you would stand as well, please. They are the parents, Admiral Christensen and Sam. They are the parents to Lieutenant Commander Eric Christensen. Eric served in the United States Navy for 10 years. He was a Navy SEAL who was killed in action in the mountains of Afghanistan in June of 2005. Lieutenant Commander Christensen is the Admiral and Mrs. Christensen's only son, and he is the namesake of Eric Mayer in 5th grade. Something to that. The staff here know that I absolutely love visiting Gettysburg. It's one of my favorite places to visit, and there's a book that chronicles the Civil War and the Battle of Gettysburg. It's called Killer Angels. It's one of my all-time favorite books. One of my other all-time favorite books, and these are books, kids, that you'll read when you get a little bit older. Probably wouldn't read them now. It's not a novel that any of your teachers would do in class right now. But the other book that I read that gave me a very, very clear understanding of the sacrifices that our veterans, our servicemen and women make was called Lone Survivor. It's a true story about a group of Navy SEALs that were caught on top of a mountain in Afghanistan. And a helicopter that had other Navy SEALs on it was coming in to try to save these SEALs that were on this mountain. And that helicopter was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, and everyone on board that helicopter was killed. And one of the gentlemen on that helicopter was Admiral Christensen's son, and it's an incredible book. It's an incredible story, but more important than that, it really clearly drives home that all of the men and women that serve our country and our armed forces, at one point, they sign their name. And when they sign their name, they are saying, I am willing to give my very life for this country. And I think what is important, no matter how young you are or how old you are, it's important that we never forget that. They sign their name and they say, I am willing to give my life for this country. So can we please give all of our special guests one more round? Okay, Hillendale, while you're standing, periodically through the year we have substitute teachers that come into school to cover classes that when teachers are at trainings or when they're sick or when they're out of the building. And today we have a substitute teacher who is serving today for us, who also is a veteran. And I'd like to introduce Mr. John Presley. John, if you would stand. John served in the United States Army. the gym a minute ago, but he's here. I'm going to ask Brandon to come up and present his gift to his grandfather. Good job, Brandon. And finally, we are going to close. I'm going to ask everyone to sit down. The very last thing that we're going to do, we have a thank you video song that we're going to show on the screen. And when that is over, we're going to dismiss all of our students. You have to go back to your classrooms. I have good news, though. We're going to have another assembly later today, which is great. That's good news. And then our special guests, maybe I shouldn't say this with the kids in the room, but our special guests, we have some very special treats and things for you up in our conference room, and would love for you to join us. If you're able to stay a little bit longer and just share, we would really appreciate that. Mr. Claypool, if you would show the closing video and song. Thank you. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you to a group of people that worked tirelessly, and I mean that, to bring this assembly together to make it as special as we possibly could for our veterans, those that are certainly with us and those that couldn't be with us. First and foremost, I do want to just give a great big thank you to Jean Krudner, our office manager. She is And also Mr. Masari, our custodian, I don't know if Anthony is in the room right now, but he is the one that just handles all of the parking and all of the tables and chairs and all of the heavy lifting kind of stuff that has to happen for an assembly like this. I would like to thank Mrs. Ely, too, our school secretary, and our school nurse, Mrs. Walters, who are Mrs. Kruger's assistants in pulling all of this together. A great big thank you to them. And certainly to Mr. Picard, who has handled all the technology part of it with the videotaping, microphone, that sort of thing. And Mr. Claypool, who has done a beautiful job putting the videos together.